Jill looked real and red as soon as she walked into Victor's office. Before Victor could speak, Jill said, "Can I say how proud I am to be part of Newman Enterprises?" Jill added that she knew Jack wanted the position too, so she was glad he had chosen it. Victor interrupted and explained that Brad Carlton did not leave Newman Enterprises, so the position was no longer open. Jill is devastated. Victor said Brad decided not to join his wife at Tech. Victor admits that he seriously considered Jill for the job and encouraged her to hope for the future. Jill seems to be encouraged by Victor's compliments. On the Prime Minister's estate, Kinda nervously walked into the living room. Esther notices and approaches Kinda. Esther was startled to see if Kinda was okay. Kinda explained that she was distracted. Esther answered, "You look very worried." Kinda insists that she was only distracted and apologized after hitting Esther. Before Kinda left, she promised Esther would stop asking questions. Esther saw Kinda's husband, Rex Sterling, go upstairs and call him. Whispering, Esther shared her concern about Kinda. Rex suggested checking Kinda. Rex entered the room and asked Kinda if she was still upset about the fight with her daughter, Gina. Kinda and Rex also quarreled after Kinda and Gina exchanged harsh words. Now, thinking more clearly, Rex agrees that Clint is the worst person in the world, though Jenny will never heed his warnings about the man. In the attic apartment of Gina Roma, located above her restaurant of the same name, Brock Reynolds, Kinda's son, as Clint. Jenny stands before Clint and begs Brock to believe that Clint has changed. Brock said Jenny was allowing her love for Clint to interfere in her best judgment because she harbored a convicted criminal and a fugitive from the law. Brock told Clint and said that if he truly loved Jenny, he wouldn't put her in that position. Brock warns Jenny that Clint used her as he did before. Clint answered, "No, man, you're wrong. I love Jenny. God knows I am." Brock warns Gina that Clint will hide his true colors until he takes off again and leaves her. Clint disagrees. Brock asked Clint that he intended to take Jenny as he moved from city to city throughout his life to avoid the police. Brock warns Clint that he will eventually bring Jenny with him after he runs out of luck. Clint said that he understood why Brock hated him so much. Brock took a few steps toward Clint and said, "You have kidnapped my mother. You have imprisoned her for months. You put your life on the road. You put an imposter in your house and for what there, your marriage has been destroyed." Clint begged Brock to give him a chance to prove that he was a changed man. Brock explained that he would have to contact the police to ensure the safety of his mother and Gina. After Brock left, Jenny hugged Clint and shouted, "Oh my God." Clint said he understood why Brock didn't believe he had changed and was afraid he couldn't do anything to prove it, especially while he was running away from the police. Jenny promised Clint that he would take her with him and shouted, "We will be together. I am your wife." Clint promised to stay in the city and face what he did. When Jenny begged Clint not to give in, he looked out the window and saw a man with a gun follow Brock. Clint ran down the stairs to the alley. Before Clint could intervene, a thief aimed a gun at Brock and demanded his money, his watch and whatever he had. The man assaulted Brock and became increasingly violent knowing that Brock had only $30. Brock assured the man that he had nothing left. The man pointed his gun at Brock and said, "Do you know what happens to smelly liars?" The man pulled the trigger just before Clint left the fire. Brock was hit. Clint took the gun before the man could fire a second bullet at Brock. The gun exploded a second time. Clint and the thief fell to the floor. The thief did not move. Clint suffered a bullet wound in his palm. Brock was unconscious on one side of the alley. The thief remained motionless on the other side. Clint panicked and ran down the alley. Jenny comes out and calls for Clint. Noticing Brock on the floor, Jenny shouted to the audience to ask for help. Jenny flies on Brock and checks his wound.
After Brock was taken to the hospital by an ambulance, Gina, with bloody hands, grabbed Brock's hat. A policeman put a jacket around Jenny's shoulders and said, "Are you Ginny Roma?" Another officer asked Jenny if she saw what happened. Jenny muttered that the attack ended when she entered the alley and saw Brock injured. Jenny explained that Brock Reynolds was the son of Prime Minister Kinda. Jenny gave no other details. One woman said she saw the whole attack, heard 2 shots and saw another man knocking down the sniper. A police officer noted that Brock was hit. The woman said the man trying to prevent the robbery escaped. Kinda was still miserable and walked around the room, repairing the fireplace decoration without any repairs. Rex came in and poured Kinda a cup of tea that he called tea to ease the stress. Kinda took a sip and said that she was happy that Rex was no longer angry with her. Rex admits that he was sad after hearing Kinda quarrel with Ginny, especially when her daughter went to Kinda for assistance. Kinda answered, "Well, I don't think I can support you in certain areas, Rex." Rex agrees and is disappointed because Ginny thinks she is in love with Clint. Rex shouted, "If I catch this pig, I'll kill it. Let's hope the police catch it sooner. The sooner we forget Clint Radisson, the better we will be." After Rex left, the phone rang. Kinda put down the cup and went to the table to answer the call. A nurse at the Geneva City Memorial broke down the news that Brock was brought in to treat gunshot wounds. The nurse told Kinda that she should go to the hospital as soon as possible. Kinda asked the nurse to do everything possible and not to let anything happen to her son. After Kinda hung up, she shouted, Who wants to shoot my son? Who wants to shoot Brock? Who dares?" Clint, stunned, Kinda threw an object across the room and angrily shouted Clint's name. At Jawboat, Drusilla Barber searched dozens of letters and placed some envelopes on John Abbott's desk. When John greeted Drew, she was distracted and initially she did not hear his greeting. Drew was upset and explained that no one could help her with his problems. John promised to keep what Drew said a secret. Drew admits that he really likes Nathan. Drew said that he hoped to take things further, so he asked Nathan Hastings to show him how to dance under the trick to learn to dance slowly to date his man. Trying to look innocent, Drew explained to John that everything would go well until Nathan asked to go on a double date. John answered, "Is there any man?" Drew farted with an envelope and cried that she had to find a man before 8 p.m. John encouraged Drew to give up on the couple day, claiming that his partner could not do so. Drew explains that Nathan's meeting, Olivia, believes that Drew is trying to move in with his man. Drew said he didn't want to confirm Olivia's suspicion. At the hospital, Nathan Hastings walked into Olivia's office and asked if she was still upset with him. Olivia, frustrated, explained that Drew had no boyfriend and if so, she asked him to teach her how to dance. Olivia added that Drew knew how to manipulate men because she had created a whole story to make Nathan hug her. Nathan said he would prove that Olivia was wrong if she went on a date and would go with Drew and her boyfriend to dinner and dance. Nathan said he was looking forward to meeting him. Olivia, looking thoughtfully, said yes. When Drew walked down a corridor, she bumped into Neil Winters. Drew screamed that Neil should see where he was going. Neil explained that he was in a hurry to attend a meeting. Drew asked Neil to help her retrieve and rearrange her mail package. Exasperated at Drew's bold and bossy power, Neil said, "Who are you?" Drew replied, "I'm Drusilla Barber. I work here." Neil looked at his watch and said he only needed a second to help before going to the meeting with John Abbott. Neil said he wanted to make a good impression and didn't want to be late. Drew explained that she was also under pressure to make a good impression and asked Neil to date a dance. Drew added, "That's important, man. My future may depend on that." After Neil knew that this was going to be a double date, Drew explained that she and Neil would have to pretend to be secretive and act like they had been dating for weeks, so Neil would have to make connections. The relationship became real. Neil correctly guessed that Drew's intention was to make the guy jealous. Neil agrees to go with Drew. She asked Neil to first prove that he could dance slowly. Drew hummed as Neil hugged and jumped. Neil said he felt ridiculous. After a while, Drew said, "Okay, you will do it." Drew ordered Neil to meet her at Gina at 8 p.m. Neil answered, "I don't know why, but I will be there." As Neil walked away, Drew said, "Hey, what's your name?" Neil replied, "Neil. Neil Winters." Brad called Cassandra Rollins and asked if he could come over to her house. Cassandra is looking forward to speaking when Brad arrives. Brad interrupted and said that he consulted a lawyer about the cancellation or divorce and would choose a faster one. Cassandra looks devastating. Brad warns Cassandra that if she fights him, the press will have a field day. Brad explained that he wanted to leave what happened between them unanswered and undisclosed. Cassandra looked frustrated when Brad added that he wanted them to part ways with a bit of dignity. Cassandra asks Brad that he has definitely made a decision and asks him to think about everything. Brad answered, "Oh, believe me. I thought a lot, about poison champagne, a fake flight attendant, wedding fraud, lies, deception, conspiracy." Cassandra begs Brad to consider the passion they share and the incredible life they can have together. Brad answered, "I want to leave this marriage now." Cassandra told Brad that, with their business and vision, they could build an empire together. Brad answered, "What makes you believe that I want to build an empire?" Cassandra said she knew Brad was as ambitious as he was attractive and tired of jokes about being a hedge trimmer. Brad said things could be different if they were going naturally. Brad reminded Cassandra that she had tricked him into a marriage that only she wanted. Brad added, "Look, Cassandra, I'm a hell woman, but I'm not the woman for you." Cassandra agrees to divorce Brad on his terms. Before Brad left, he turned and said, "Cassandra, I'm sorry." Cassandra said she also apologized. After Brad leaves, Cassandra falls into the wall and tears well up.